Hi everyone, it's Jen. I'm finally working on the video that I had anticipated doing last week, which is about oaks. And so I explained that I work in systems and I think about things in ecosystems and not in a linear way. And I had this thought for some reason that maybe I should come back up on the hillside, something that Dave and I do. Dave is my husband. Pretty much every year is come and clip away the greenbrier from our trail, and we try to keep it from climbing the trees as well. It's a native vine. It's called Smilax rotundifolia. Promise I have a point. It's this vine. So it has a really rounded leaf, really striking veins. It's kind of I wouldn't call it a heart-shaped leaf. It's not. It's more rounded. Little tendrils on it, and that's what it uses for climbing. And it does have thorns. So it essentially becomes a bramble, and we have several big bramble patches of just greenbrier up here. And the reason we clip it away is really to clear the path for us to move around up here. But leaving the big bramble patches actually leaves a really great place for birds to hide. They love bramble patches because it's difficult for predators to get in there and get them. So we do leave several big patches of it. But it reminded me of a talk I heard, and unfortunately I cannot remember the speaker's name. I had heard him talk probably 15 years before, and then I heard him talk again 2 years ago. And he is from England, and one of the things that they discovered was that the oaks that have gotten really large in England were surrounded by briar patches. And I wondered up here if our if any of our oaks were surrounded by briar patches, especially our young ones, and if not, could I encourage the greenbrier to grow up kind of around them to protect them from the deer? And that's what they were having issues with, was that the deer would come and mow down those young trees, which is obviously one of the issues we have in the mid-Atlantic states, and probably just about anywhere else that they have deer. So that's what prompted me to come up here and look for the oaks, and then I got sidetracked realizing that we had white oaks up here and our red oaks are dying. At any rate, I did find a couple trees that are surrounded by briars, one or two oaks, but I also have some black gums that are surrounded by briars, which they're not the greatest for wildlife. They don't provide that much wildlife benefit. But black cherries do, and we have a ton of black cherries up here on the hill, particularly young ones, and those are being surrounded by brambles. So I didn't cut any of those away, and I usually come up here armed with my Felco pruners just to clip away some of the briars from the path when I'm walking up here. But then oaks are really, really important to the landscape, and so I'm really particular about saving the oaks for a good reason. First, I wanted to bring your attention, I love reading, and my bookshelf is littered with all kinds of books, but one of my favorite books is this one. It's called Oak, The Frame of Civilization. Is by William Bryant Logan. He is a fantastic writer. He is actually an arborist. He's a fellow arborist, and so I am an arborist too, and it's one of the reasons I go to these conferences. But this guy, he is such a great writer, and he goes through the history of oaks and what they've been used for over time. It's just such a great book, and it's a really easy read. So for anybody who is into history or ecology or anything like that, this book would probably be up your alley. Really simple to read, not technical at all. So I really recommend this book. And then the other one, and it's something, so for a long time I've been working to make my landscape more critter friendly. I want to feed the animals, the birds and the, squirrels, whatever else we have. Insects is a big one for me. And so I've been working slowly but surely to make my landscape down the hill a lot better for wildlife, and then trying to do what we can up here on this hillside. And I remember reading this book, Bringing Nature Home. This is Doug Tallamy's book. I've also heard him speak, and one of his talks was Let It Be an Oak. And it was on the importance of oaks, and they support just for butterflies, oaks as a genus. Genus is, so you go kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species. So genus is, it would be oak, and then say a willow oak or a pin oak or whatever. That's the species. Pin oak would be a species. At any rate, oaks as a genus support more than 500 species of lepidopterans. Lepidopterans are butterflies and moths, which is crazy. And then the next highest on the list is actually black cherry. So I was really, really happy to see that black cherry was on here as one of the top ones. It's right underneath it with, I think it's 453 species for the black cherry, and now I'm trying to find it in the book. So I finally found the chart in the Bringing Nature Home book, and oaks as a genus support 534 species of lepidopterans, and cherries 456. Pretty good. There's a list in here, and it tells you how many species each of the top trees support, and which top ones they support. So it's not just a number associated with it, it actually has a list. But at any rate, I wanted to give you these references. If you are trying to do a garden kind of similar to mine, where you have all kinds of berry bushes and trees that support wildlife, the two best species you can put in are oaks or genus, I guess, oaks and black cherries. So don't cut those black cherries down. I know they're ugly, but they support so much wildlife. And if they support 453 species of moths and butterflies, imagine all the birds that those support. So just kind of keep that in mind. And with my oaks, I'm very particular about saving these oaks, and I've even planted more oaks down the hill a little bit, and I'll probably be filling in where we have holes here. So I think that's a good lesson for today, is to try to preserve oaks as much as possible, plant them wherever possible. Black cherries are the next best thing, and then also planting all kinds of berry bushes that will support wildlife, because every time you support an insect, you then support the birds and the other things that eat those insects. So just remember that as you're planning your garden. And if you have any questions, of course, I'm always here to answer your questions. And if you really, this is a really phenomenal guide. I can't say enough about it. It's awesome. It's available on Amazon. So, it's been a really great read. I just picked it back up to just kind of thumb through it again. It's a pretty good and easy read. It's not technical in any way. He does give you species and that kind of stuff, but not in a technical way. So it's really easy for folks to understand. So that's my lesson for today, and I wish you happy gardening.